along those lines, I guess. I want to move toward our final thing this week, and it's sort of a loose collection of stories that I think
Can I throw?
speak to something larger. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, the whole thing with Trump is that we know he's a narcissist. Okay, but I think that's his narcissism is like one step above most people's narcissism, and it's like he's got it on steroids. And I've seen time after time when he's been in situations where he's been in a room with people that are actively demonstrating against him, or somebody like Mandami, who has called him a fascist. It doesn't actually matter to Trump as long as he's the center of attention. So when he went out to dinner for the restaurant and there were the protesters at the restaurant, he stood there for a good few seconds, just basking in the attention, and then he's like, "Okay, throw them out. I'm bored now." So it's almost like as long as he's getting the attention, and he got that attention from Mandami, in a sense, because when the reporter asked the question about Mandami called you a fascist, Trump's reaction to it was, he can say that, and then it was like, you don't need to explain it, just say yes. That kept the attention all.
I've been called worse. Yeah,
exactly. That kept the attention all on Trump rather than it becoming adversarial, which is what the press wanted.
It was really, really an interesting dynamic. So listen, we talked about the way that the capitalist class, the uniparty, as it were, would maybe like to conflate socialism with Trump's fascism, and we saw on Friday this silly resolution passed in the House condemning the quote horrors of socialism, and this was passed on a bipartisan basis. One of Indiana's Congressman, Frank Mrvan, went along with this. Thankfully, Congressman Carson did not go along with this farce. It really just, and I'm interested to see what you guys make of that. But this is at the same time we talked about Marjorie Taylor Greene this week, and how she's leaving the MAGA coalition, as it were. Well, you've got Maryland Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin inviting her into the big tent, saying, we're...
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Oh, no, he said, we're the Progressive Party and the Liberal Party and the Conservative Party, and that's kind of, I guess, the point I'm driving at in this segment is, what is it Democrats stand for if they can, if you invite somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene into the tent. Now, we also saw this week that a poll asking voters would they vote for a generic Democrat or a generic Republican in their district in the midterm in 2026, and the Democrats are favored in this poll by some 14 points. And I worry that a lot of folks on the Democratic side are going to be like, generic Democrat, you say, and not stand for anything because they think they can coast by being a generic Democrat. So even with the Trump's massive unpopularity and Democrats having this momentum going to the midterms and being favored by a wide margin, you still have the DNC like bleeding cash, and they're taking out a $15 million operating loan this week just to get by. So I guess with all of these things floating around, what are your guys' thoughts on the direction of the party? And I will ask you to begin, Jennifer.
Well, I definitely have felt it for a while, especially since jumping back in to run for state representative for District 66. The Republican Party is the same. They're going through all their changes. This is what happens when everything is chaotic. But the thing is, I think we, in the Democrat Party, we have different, we just take everyone, right? It seems like we take everyone, which is why it can make it very difficult for us to all be on the same page and get things done. And we very much have kind of separate ourselves somewhat, at least from what I'm seeing in circles that I run in with, people that are much more calling for change and are not going to waste their time trying to get Republicans to vote for us when we know that Republicans aren't going to vote for us, but that we need to be spending our time talking about the changes that we need to see, coming up with ideas with those, and getting out more voters to come out and vote for us. Then I feel like we have a more conservative side of the Republicans that kind of want to keep going with the status quo. They are bringing in candidates that have more of a name, maybe not even have lived here for a while, kind of have their own agenda, which isn't necessarily about changing things. I mean, as Democrats, I know we all want to see things better for people, but we have different ways of doing that. And I think lived experience is one of those things that is getting more and more attention, and that the Democrat Party, I feel like there's a lot of us that have more lived experience that really can speak more truth to power on changes that need to be made in the system, instead of just promising things, which the Republicans don't even do that. I mean, they're very upfront with cut. It's all gone. So there's my soapbox for the day.
Simon, the horrors of socialism. What do you make of the bipartisan support for this stupid bill? Listen, they mention it when they are listing all of the horrors of socialism, right? Oh, they talk about the Soviet Union. They talk about Cambodia. They talk about the Iron Curtain. They talk about North Korea. They talk about Cuba. These are not socialist countries. These are authoritarian communist countries. They don't talk about the wonders of democratic socialism. They don't mention anything about Denmark or Norway or Finland or the Netherlands or New Zealand or countries that actually do things in a slightly more socialist way than we do.
What's to say except to express the profound ignorance there is between communism, democratic socialism, national socialism, and say generic socialism. They are all different types of regime with different points of authority. Democratic socialism is the ballot box. That's the point of authority. That it's consent from the masses. It's not authoritarian from the top with a dictatorship like we have with Trump and National Socialism. It's the stupidity of especially elected people that should know better. I mean, there's always been this anti-communism thread that's run through the country, which is extended to anti-socialism, basically because people don't understand what the hell it is. It's like you drive on the roads, you pay taxes that go to pay for roads. That's a socialist business model. Schools, education in the school district, that's a socialist business model. You want to back the blue, you want to support your police, that's a fundamentally basic socialist business model. The fire department, that's a socialist business model. The community comes together, they pool their money through taxes in order to pay for shared services. So the idea that you're going to attack and condemn socialism is really an attack on yourself. And the stupidity of people. I remember when Joe Donnelly ran his anti-socialism ad when he was trying to get re-elected. And that killed his campaign stone dead. I mean, because it's like, oh, look at me, I'm a lightweight Republican, vote for me. Not realizing that if Republicans have a choice between a Republican light and the real thing, they're going to choose the real thing. So all this pandering by the Democrat Party to the 4% of the electorate that you'd consider to be like moderate conservatives or whatever, it just alienates everybody else. And I want to remind everybody that the 2024 election what the overall statistics were. 38% of the electorate didn't show up. Okay. 37% didn't show up. 32% voted for Donald Trump. 31% voted for Kamala Harris. So when you actually stack what the electorate is made of, the Democrats came third in a two-party race. Now, I don't know how to express that stupidity any more than it is, because that's what happens when you run as a Republican light. You're just going to get your ass kicked. I mean,
right.
If I had had a choice with Kamala Harris's campaign, she would have addressed Gaza. She would have come out with a Nobel Peace Prize. And that whole situation, because she's got the cover because her husband is Jewish, that was just such a no-brainer to solve. But she didn't get the votes. 37% didn't come out, partly due to the issue on the genocide in Gaza. And I mean, this is stupid decisions that the Democrat Party make because the money is coming from right-wing sources. And we've seen candidates that are currently in the mix that have that problem. So, and that's easy to address. That's an easy problem to fix. And it's not necessarily the money, it's just how the candidates are positioned and how they are in relation, And I mean, if people can't figure out the candidate I'm talking about, it's like we have the race between Bo Bai and Blythe Potter for Secretary of State. Here's the thing. We do not need a zero-sum game in the Democratic Party where there is only one winner. That's stupid and should never happen. We need both of them on the ballot and we need both of them elected. That's where the power of the party comes from, is all seats contested and and we saw that in Virginia. They ran a Democrat candidate in every seat. A lot of them got their ass kicked. Okay, fine. But that brought enough people out in the polls in order to affect the governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general races. And
they want a massive majority in the state house as well. Yeah,
13 seats. That's so. Yeah, I think I can speak on behalf of the Rural Summit and say that's the plan. Is to do something very similar to Virginia, Virginia tailored to Indiana, so that we can get the same results next year. The problem is the first people that we end up fighting aren't Republicans, because on a lot of issues there's a lot of agreement. There are people inside the party who are just putting blockades up because they don't understand an ideological point. Indiana is the home of Eugene Debs. Socialist Party. It's also the home of Abraham Lincoln. He spent time here. And if you actually go back to his first inaugural address, he said, labor is more important than capital. Capital doesn't exist without labor. Okay? He had a pen pal that wrote to him, and he wrote, that ended up publishing a book called Does Capital? Karl Marx. Marx was a Lincolnist, okay? All this thing about Marxism, it's horrible. No. He copied the success of Abraham Lincoln. They looked at that, the Civil War victory, as power for the labor movement and the common man. And that's really all people are fighting for. Their rights to have a successful life. And when you look at it from the perspective of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, not having healthcare, not having stable employment, not having stable housing, they are all things that are anti those three things: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
100%.
And then in the resolution, continuing resolution 58, on the horrors of most of the things I identified in there are actually capitalism Results of capitalism.
Yeah. Simon, let's talk about the horrors of capitalism for a second, if you will. I mean, look, you've got the British colonial empire and all the various famines they caused and all the people they killed, and then you've got the Belgian Congo. You got the Atlantic slave trade. I mean, if you just want to look at coups against democratically elected socialist governments like Salvador Allende in Chile.
Those were the events that were quoted in the continuing resolution. Yeah. And calling that, it's a horror of socialism. No, it's a horror of capitalism.
And then if you look at all the healthcare deaths in this country that could be prevented if we had a single payer universal healthcare system like all of those horrible socialist countries over there. Jennifer, who's the most popular politician in the United States of America today?
Trump.
It's Bernie Sanders.
Is it?
Bernie
I don't
Sanders.
know.
By a lot. And the man
you think
is
more people know Bernie
socialist.
Sanders than know Trump?
He has the highest ratings. Like Trump's
well,
underwater.
I mean, popular,
people don't like him. Yes.
Popular to me doesn't necessarily mean liked. Most of the popular kids were not really well liked. Everybody just kind of was forced to like them. I guess that's the same thing here. So yeah.
But Sanders is one of the few political figures in this country who actually is above water, in terms of a plus minus rating.
Well,
the
and
man is an open socialist.
Well,
it is obviously not a disqualifier, right?
No. Well, I think part of Bernie Sanders' appeal too is that he sticks to his principles and is consistent, and he's out there on his own. When I think of him, I always think of the picture with him in the mittens that was at the inauguration. Just put him every little place, so he's like everywhere, and he's just there. But yeah, I mean, people know who he is for sure.
But Bernie beat Hillary in the 2016 primary in Indiana. People don't realize.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So
yes.
people don't realize
that's
how
telling.
significant the message the voters gave us back in 2016 was. Out of a choice between what Hillary could bring or what Bernie Sanders could bring, they chose Bernie.
Could you imagine how we would what it would be like?
And yet, Hoosier Democrats seem to not have digested this lesson. We keep running further and further away from it. And listen, I could talk for an hour about that all by itself. And, hey, sometime soon we will. But for today, we have hit the 2-hour mark. I need to go ahead and let you folks be on your way, get on with our Sundays. But before we do, I want to give everybody a chance to say goodbye to the good folks and tell everybody where they can find you. Simon.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Just a reminder, Indiana, you are actually going to go more viral than you've already gone, and you're encouraging people around the country for what you're doing. So whatever you're doing, just keep it up, keep doing it. I can be found, my personal website is simonhiggs.com. I'm also co-founder of the Indiana Rural Summit, which is indianaruralsummit.org and organizingindiana.org. So check those guys out, and thank you.
All right, very good. Jennifer, where can the good folks find you?
Well, you can usually find me out in the community doing something, but if you want to find me online, you can find me usually on Facebook, Jennifer David for Hoosiers. My website is also jendavid4hoosiers.com. And yes. Okay. And I'm also a member of the Rural Summit. Thank you, Simon, and his wife, Michelle. Michelle, actually, while we're still here, as soon as I'm done, I want you, though, if you can make an announcement about Michelle. She just won an award. But anyways, I'm District 66. I'm running for state representative. That's parts of Clark, Floyd, and a little bit of Jefferson counties. Follow me and see all the fun stuff we do and all the trouble we get into. So I'm headed back to Simon.
Yes, the wonderful Michelle Higgs was awarded the Party Builder Award at this past Friday night's Monroe County Democratic Vitelli Faro dinner. I was there in attendance. She gave a lovely speech. Good to see her. Good to see Simon. And just a lovely night all around. Congratulations to Michelle.
Throw in there that she won it last year as well, the Party Builder Award, and it was actually in the name of the Indiana Rural Summit with Ryan Steele. So,
there's so many, that thing just keeps growing. You could do a whole episode on how much work has happened in the last, it's only been, a year and a half?
Not even that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you guys are doing tremendous work out there, Simon. I appreciate everything you guys are doing, building, something that can actually speak to rural voters who Democrats have been
doing the
ignoring
work,
far too
doing the work. It is doing the work, and it is leading other people, other Democrats like myself, to do the work. I wouldn't be running for the second time, I think, if it wasn't for the summit. And for a minute there, I said I wasn't going to. But it's just the support and seeing it grow. Like, this is the powerhouse here in Indiana, is this group of folks and a lot of the other groups that are similar to it. These are the ones that are doing the work. We don't have the money,
absolutely.
but we have the power.
Well, speaking of the money, yes, please, folks, do visit Indiana Rural Summit. They could use your financial contribution, or also, volunteers. Need all of it, all the help they can get, all the help we can get. Hey, I could use a hand too if you got some money left over after you do all that. Take care of them first, but then, if you're still feeling generous, you can support this project with a paid subscription over at whosleft.us. Also, again, there's that QR code up on the screen for you if you want to give a one-time contribution on Venmo. But for now, on behalf of my guests today, Simon Higgs and Jennifer David, I am Scott Aaron Rogers, and I will see you next time. Until next week. Love each other, Indiana.
Bye.
Bye.